When the sun shines high, Christmas lights are unneeded. In the darkness of winter, Christmas lights and Christmas joy are bright and loud and beautiful. And needed. It has always been this way. As easy as it may be to imagine the first Christmas through a sparkly and sentimental lens, with some Unitarian ministress plinking trite melodies on the piano's most annoying keys, to imagine a beloved young bride holding a fat-cheeked son as her gentle husband gazes on in adoration, the truth is nothing like a tidy stable set in a northern European snow globe. It is nothing like any nativity scene ever sold. The truth involves more struggle, more darkness, more oppression, more grief. The truth is a scandalous young woman sweating and groaning and straining while her older, angel-scolded husband plays clumsy midwife with hard, calloused, unclean, and splintered hands. The truth is a cave stable smelling of afterbirth and blood and manure. The truth is an exhausted virgin mother surviving her ordeal only to have her crude sanctuary invaded by coarse men from the fields, come to rouse her. Strangers smelling of sheep, barging into her makeshift birthing room on the invitation of angels to gape at her blood, the gore of her battle, her baby. The truth is genocide, the slaughter of innocents, Egyptian exile, wandering wizards, and somehow, against all odds, joy, the joy that would change everything. As you hang your lights in these dark days, as you decorate your tree and wrap undeserved gifts for those you love, remember that what you do is rebellion. Rebellion against the darkness, against joyless despair, against the slaughter of innocents, the oppression of tyrants, and the folly of bureaucrats. That is what Christmas is, and what it always has been. Joy shines brightest in darkness, and the darkness is shattered. Joy always wins. In these darkening times, may your joy be an eruption. May your Christmas cheer burn unquenchably bright. May you be raucous and bold and overflowing in your giving, never sour in your embrace of abstract truths. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called. Merry Christmas from New St. Andrews College. This season, erupt.
The best intro all week, finally. Finally you got to the good part.
I will mute your mic.
Get one warning.
Yeah, that's it. It's Baron Psalms Wednesday.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Unto us. Son is given.
It's not Jeremiah doing this, because Jeremiah's mean.
Jeremiah has his sweet side.
He's a bulldog.
You bulldog the top of that beer. That's what you bulldog.
Or bullfrog, depending on what song you're going after.
What?
That was good. That was good. I worked it in.
That wasn't good at all. Hey,
Wasn't
guys.
good at all.
Merry Christmas to me.
Yeah. There you go.
And
Merry
to whoever
Christmas.
else who's got one of these lovely mugs. Hey, is this 30 ounce? What is it?
Cross
32.
Politics
32?
Studios. Water bottle.
I almost had to fight my son for this.
Man, look at that thing.
I brought this home and he's like, Dad, is that the new Cross Politic water bottle?
Yeah, bro.
I was like, yeah.
Bro.
He's like, can I get that? I was like, no.
Nice. Gravity Jack is a full-service digital agency specializing in the development of virtual and augmented reality experiences, mobile apps, blockchain, and Web3 projects. If you don't know what Web3 is, I don't know what's wrong with you. I just found out a week or so ago. Founded in 2009 as the first American agency to offer augmented reality, they even patented it. Gravity Jack's digital experiences have been a source of innovation for small business, Fortune 500 companies, the U.S. military, and even cross-politic. Get your vision in motion at gravityjack.com. Whoa.
Cheers.
Cheers to the
Cheers,
king.
Baron Psalms.
Cheers to the king.
Hey.
Yeah, cheers to the king.
Hey, whoa.
Here,
What are
here.
you drinking out?
Huh? What? Well, you know, I'm feeling a little royal right now.
Are you?
Oh.
Okay.
Well, how did that happen?
Welcome to Cross Politic. It's Gabe the Water Boy, Chocolate Knox. I'm Pastor Toby.
And this
It's
beer-
Wednesday, and Gabe is off his rocker. He didn't even welcome anybody to the show. He didn't even say what this was or what you're watching or listening to.
I did say beer and psalms. I did
apologize.
Yeah.
Like people just know what that is.
I said beer and psalms. I went right to the beer.
Yes, right. He's also been yelling at people in the studio.
That is weird. Even our guest.
Wait. Is that unnormal for me? I mean, I'm deaf in one ear. I am deaf in one ear.
That's a good point.
So I can be on average loud.
On average, but this is sort of just like
Well, it's probably because I've been coaching basketball.
Oh,
I got my basketball.
Oh, you had your basketball.
So you've been yelling at the girls like that?
I've been yelling. Oh yeah, no.
Oh my goodness.
I even had to apologize to the trainer yesterday. I yelled at him too. After the game, I was like, "Man, my fault. You weren't even on the court, and I was yelling at you. That's my bad.
Can't you make a layup? You're the trainer. Oh, sorry.
Yelling at the refs. You guys, I gotta say something.
You had to be there.
Oh my goodness.
I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I've never seen It's a Wonderful Life until this past week.
Oh, bro, whoa. That is such a good movie.
We have
so good.
Friday nights usually. Did
you cry?
Bro.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
He did.
Yes. When I used to watch that the time when I was younger, I'd walk into my grandpa's house and he'd have it on every Christmas. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. And then as I gotten older, the more I like it.
My eyes leaked a little bit.
Yeah.
And so my beard got a little wet, but it was just, my eyes were baptized. Something that was
so
washing
good.
Stuff out my eyeballs. But I saw it.
That movie is a classic for real.
I couldn't believe why are we still not talking? Everybody needs to be proclaiming how amazing this film was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even technically it wasn't super complicated.
Right.
The camera movements weren't all super complicated. The stuff that they did there,
the coloring
it was black and white. I mean, come on. And I was.
Why you got to make this about race?
I got. And pretty soon, I'm going to get back to talking about, Black Wall Street.
Yeah, I know you are. I was just waiting for it.
It's coming around.
It's coming around there. But I was thinking to myself, and I didn't mean to talk about this, but I want to talk about it. We got all this equipment now. We can shoot things better on our iPhones, and yet
you do something like that.
We could make that story.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And the way they communicated, the way they talked about just the idea of, when they're if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert.
I want to hear it.
I think everyone's seen it.
But they're dancing.
I think you were the last one on the planet, actually. If anyone out there hasn't seen it, write in. Just help Knox feel a little bit better.
So they're dancing at the school. And the guy's jealous because the guy's jealous,
and the floor opens up.
And all I can think about is what your enemies are planning to do to take you out. Mm-hmm. They plan it for your evil, and God plans it for good. And the guy falls inside the water with the girl,
and keeps dancing
because he's having such a great time and he's enjoying her. And he's in the
everybody
water.
Else
he's dancing with her in the water,
and everybody else jumps in.
And the party happens in the water.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like, and then the guys who meant it for evil, they jump in the water.
Right.
And I'm like,
and you were like, that's baptism.
That's, what? That's exactly what.
Water judgment.
That's all I wanted to say. I was bringing up a baptism joke.
That's why you baptize your babies.
That's great.
Make sure they can jump in the pool with you.
Follow that connection.
One more thing. Okay. So he's talking.
We're doing this.
I'm doing it.
It's beer and psalms.
And so there's this natural feel that he has to want to be married to this woman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The lead character, I can't remember his name right now. Sorry.
Yep. Thank you, Jesus, for that natural feeling. Yes, sir.
But he's fighting it because he wants to go do other things.
Right.
But there's this pull, and then he's at the house. He goes and walks to the house, and he's standing outside, and she calls him in. Yeah, I wasn't coming by here. I wasn't coming by here to see you.
Right.
And then he walks, act like he's about to leave, and she says something to him that makes him turn around and says, I'm never getting married. I'm not going to marry you. That's it, okay?
Yep.
And then he kisses her, and the next thing you see, they're getting married.
Yep.
And you're looking at this, and you're like, oh, okay.
Well, what's his name, the actor?
Jimmy
Stewart.
No. What's Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah. I think Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great actor.
Sorry, really. Okay, everybody. All right.
Fantastic. But just the filmmaking.
You like that? Was that fantastic? My voice? Was that pretty good?
Better than your Jamaican accent.
That's what I was
for true.
Anyway,
true.
If you haven't seen it, You need to see it. And if you have seen it, you need to watch it 30 more. We're going to watch it a bunch more at the Shannon household. It was just fantastic. So for us, we have movie moments where it's like, okay, that's high rankings. Right now, Miles Morales, we went and saw it opening night. It was after a Christmas pageant, and we went and saw it, and that's like up there for us.
Yeah. What's it called?
Enter the Spider-Verse.
Enter the Spider-Verse.
With Miles Morales, yeah. So he's the new Spider-Man.
Is this a new one?
Yeah.
Oh. Is it like a black movie? Because
it is. But he's kind of...
Me and Toby are like, what?
You guys never seen it?
Was this on BET?
Oh, okay. I see. All right. I see what it is. All right. It took me 40 years to watch a white flick that's a traditional. I get it.
Did it just come out? Did it just come out?
No, it's 2018.
Oh, no, I saw that one.
Okay.
I saw that one.
I think I saw that one too.
Yeah, that was a good one. We went and saw it at Christmas. It came out like Christmas time.
Yeah, right at Christmas time.
Was it like half cartoon, half real? Was that the one?
Don't you have something to talk about in the show?
I just insulted. Whatever. Apparently, I insulted Knox. I don't even know what I said.
Half cartoon.
I don't even know what I said.
Cartoon.
Yeah.
All right. So
today's Pearl Harbor Day.
Yeah, it is Pearl Harbor Day, and actually, we got this really cool old school clip of Pearl Harbor.
Back in the day.
Speaking of back in the day. Speaking of black and white.
December 7th, 1941. No American will ever forget this Sunday morning in Hawaii. Across the blue waters of Pearl Harbor, the Pacific Fleet rides serenely at anchor. There is peace and quiet in Honolulu. There is a hope for peace in the hearts of all Americans. There is a forceful plea for peace in the words of the President of the United States. But his last message to Japan's emperor falls on deaf ears. Grim silence is the reply. No outward sign reveals what may be the nature of the Mikado's answer. In Washington, Secretary of State Hull continues peace negotiations with Jap Ambassador Nomura and Special Envoy Kurusu, not knowing that genial smiles mask murder in their hearts.
Wow.
Hawaii's bright Sunday becomes a black Sunday. High overhead, Jap raiders are on the loose. Without warning, they circle Pearl Harbor and the city of Honolulu. A surprise attack born of infamy. Sirens screech the alarm too late. Already the yellow men have unloosed their bombs. Planes sweep the Waikiki district. The sky rains death and destruction. Caught unawares on this fateful Sunday morning, Americans quickly and calmly evacuate the danger districts.
This was Pearl Harbor, America's prime naval base in the Hawaiian Islands. 19 proud ships rested on the bottom.
19 ships.
4,572 men were dead, wounded, or missing.
Wow.
In the hands of Japan rested the balance of power in the Pacific. Bought at a known cost of 48 planes shot down, 3 midget submarines, perhaps 150 men.
So Japan lost about 150 men.
In all, 97 Army planes were destroyed, according to the figures in the plain-spoken disclosure given by the United States government to the American people about the facts of Pearl Harbor. This is the record of what President Roosevelt has called the day that will live in infamy. Infamy that this nation is avenging.
Wow.
So, obviously, 1941.
Have you guys seen the Midway movie?
Yeah.
It's a pretty well done story as far as modern depictions go
of Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
And this was what brought the U.S. formally into World War II.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this was interesting. I've gone back because of kind of where we're currently at and watching America go down this particular woke journey I've been going through, and realizing that I have, I was saying this earlier this year in September, 20 years, it's been since a little over 20 years now since 9/11. We have people who work for us who weren't born at that time, or were just being born, and so have no idea the world
looking
before.
at you.
Yep, producers.
Over there.
The world
We see
before,
you. Yep.
9/11.
Right,
And so they have no concept of the world before that, and then what the world turned into after that. This is the new normal for them. And looking at this, we have no concept of this world at all, or the world before that, and the concept of what was going on. And just listening to them talk, it was funny when he said, "And the yellow man." I was like, "Oh, I don't." Is it? You can't.
Can you say that?
The yellow man dropped the bomb. I was like,
Can you
"Oh."
say that?
But the world before was a completely different place.
Yeah.
And after this, changed radically. And if this is just, and it's funny, it's like this is little after 20 years after the First World War.
Yeah.
And so these are within 20 years of each other.
Yeah.
It was hard to know a time of peace, really, in the turn of the century, right? Like you start seeing it's like wars, and then this little time of peace, and everybody thinking is normal.
Yeah.
And they're actually, there's not peace. There's already wars going on. You're just not involved in it. And then this one comes knocking on your front door, and it caught you slipping.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I read you guys something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just before the show, I texted my dad and asked him about, so my grandpa enlisted
Right
after
World War II,
Okay.
right after Pearl Harbor.
Wow.
He was 15, which means he had an aunt lie about his age because you couldn't enlist till you're 17.
Wow.
You could only enlist at 17 with your parents' permission.
Wow.
So he's 15.
And he couldn't get mom and dad's permission?
His mom and dad were dead.
Okay.
So or at least his aunt was the only one around.
Yep.
And so when he was his aunt lied for him, and he's like, I think he was almost 16. He says, we left San Diego July 1942. So that's just about 6 months later.
Yeah.
Right. Aboard the SS Daystar, which was a fugitive from the scrapyard. I'm sure that the Japanese would have bought her for scrap before the war if they had known where to look. There were 4 saltwater showers below, and the heads were on the deck. We were rationed 1.5 meals per day. Some of us did some moonlight requisitioning of raw onions and raw potatoes from crates lashed topside. Tasted good. We docked at Pearl Harbor and went to Camp Caitlin for a few days, then went on to Midway Island to beef up the outfit there. We were formed into a special weapons group and were quickly taught how to operate the 40, 37, and 20 millimeter cannons and the 30 and 50 caliber machine guns. We made our own landmines in anticipation of beach landings by the Japanese.
Wow.
There was a large number of old China Marines in our outfit. Some had been aboard ship on their way to Wake Island and the Philippines when they turned back after those places had been overrun by the Japanese. They were old salt, seagoing Marines, horse Marines, China Marines, many with a lifetime of service. They were an interesting bunch of people for this 15-year-old to be around. One day in June 1943, so about a year later, we were replenishing ammunition to the gun positions. I was standing next to the tailgate on a 6x6 truck when some cannons of ammunition shifted, knocked me off the truck, all of me except my leg, which was caught and crushed between some canisters of ammunition. I was taken to sick bay, patched up somewhat, and that night was the last time the Japanese shelled the island, as far as I know. He headed off to the hospital in San Diego, and that was the last he saw of action. That was my grandpa.
Wow.
Spent a year in Midway.
Yeah. That's incredible.
And he's 15.
Yeah.
And
16 at that point.
And y'all want to talk to me about the pandemic making our teenagers have to grow up faster.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's sitting up here thinking
being stressful.
It's a different kind.
Yeah.
One of the things that I keep thinking about through this, and after going through Yuri Bezmenov, the guy who defected from the KGB, Bezmenov. Yeah, thank you. One of the things that he says is like, we knew that war wasn't going to be the way to win against our enemies, not through the typical type of way. So we had to do war different. Yeah. Ideological subversion was the war, because at that point, people don't recognize that they have a war going on. They are at war, but they don't know it. They're living like everything is normal, but they're being attacked. And because they don't have the watchful dragons, is another way to say it, that send off alarms, say, hey, somebody's trying to come in. They don't do anything.
Right.
And one of the clips that we didn't get to last time we were talking about Yuri Bezmenov was the clip at the end of the whole hour and 21 minute. I want to recommend that everybody goes and listens to the whole
Yuri
thing.
Bezmenov.
It's really interesting to talk. He walks through this for an hour and 21 minutes on YouTube. At least right now it's still on YouTube. But at the end, the guy who's interviewing him asked him, Yuri, what is it that we can do when ideological subversion, remember we talked about this, demoralize, destabilize, crisis, and then normalize a new situation. What do you do when that's already taken root in you? How do you fight against it? And this is what I wanted to play from Yuri.
The immediate thing that comes to my mind is, of course, there must be a very strong national effort to educate people in the spirit of real patriotism, number one. Number two, to explain them the real danger of socialist, communist, whatever, welfare state, big brother government. If people will fail to grasp the impending danger of that development, nothing ever can help United States. You may kiss goodbye to your freedom, including freedoms to homosexuals, to prison inmate. All this freedom will vanish, evaporate in 5 seconds. including your precious lives. The second thing, the moment at least part of the United States population is convinced that the danger is real, they have to force their government. And I'm not talking about sending letters, signing petitions, and all this beautiful, noble activity. I'm talking about forcing United States government to stop aiding communism. There is no other problem more burning and urgent than to stop the Soviet military-industrial complex from destroying whatever is left of the free world. Two very simple, maybe two simplistic answers or solutions, but nevertheless, they are the only solutions. Educate yourself, understand what's going on around you. You are not living at the time of peace. You are in a state of war.
Wow.
I think he has a lot to good to say there, but I really kind of have a fundamental disagreement actually with him on this. He thinks this is a knowledge problem.
Yeah.
He thinks knowledge is what's going to save us. But he also admitted in the same hour-long interview that people will not even know what's going on with them. They don't even know what's happening until a knee's on their neck.
Yeah, and to be honest, what he's talking
and I don't
about,
even know if people are going to know really what's going on there.
When he's talking about education, he's really talking about starting a new stub. So part of the context of this for him,
stub,
one group is already gone. So you're going to have to start a whole new garden. Whatever you have children and you understand what's going on, you're going to have to start from there and then working your way down. He said there's a group of people already who understand and have a knowledge of this, and they're going to have to spend the time educating a new generation. And he's like, this is 15 to 20 year process. Yeah. This is not a simple process.
Was Yuri a Christian?
I don't think he was.
I mean, a lot of the people that defected from Russia understood this as in a starkly spiritual terms.
Yep.
I mean, Soviet Union communism is officially atheist, and it's for a reason. They understood that there has to be no God in order so that they can be God,
right?
So they can run the world.
Right.
Many people that defected and came to the West did so and converted at the same time, or were Christians at the same time, or becoming Christians at the same time because they understood that freedom. And independence and those ideas, they go with Christianity.
Yeah.
I mean, people historically understood this. The other thing I was going to, and that goes with what you're saying, though. It's not just a knowledge problem; it's a spiritual problem.
Right.
The other thing I was thinking of is, it's interesting that this is in 1984.
1984 is this interview.
And I'm not aware of any significant movements. I mean, everyone knows we're not fans of the government education program. I mean, government education, public schools are socialism, right? I mean, that's one of the platforms, one of the tenets of Marxism is public schools.
Right.
But I'm not aware of any significant effort, even if you aren't completely on board with that, of actually using the public schools or using education to do what he says. Like, actually use the schools to educate children in true patriotism and the evils of communism. Rather, what we've ended up doing typically is merely responding to liberal agenda.
Yeah.
And we say, stop teaching CRT in schools. Stop teaching perverse sex education in public schools. And my thought is, why is it that we are constantly on the defensive?
Yep.
As if there can be like some kind of happy neutral. Rather than saying, no, what we need to actually be teaching is the truth about the Christian founding of America, about the fact that you can't have this freedom apart from Jesus Christ, apart from the gospel that drove the founding of our country. I mean, you can't.
This is where I think I have to agree with him. The reason that why we haven't had that kind of push is because we still share the same ideological worldview as our enemies. Right. Like we share that. So this
and it's underlined by the fact that if we really believed in it, then we would do it. But we don't believe in it, and we share the fundamental beliefs. We just don't want it quite that fast.
Right. And so, like when you look at somebody like the Daily Wire, well, what you see from them is we don't want them. We want a different version of this that is not that is slower.
We want more respectable.
We don't have a standard
homosexual mirage.
Exactly.
With buying eggs and renting wombs and storing breast milk in freezers.
When they do movies, it's with a woman with a lead, and the Christian guy is the bad guy. Right, like there's a guy in there who's the bad guy who's misquoting scriptures, and he's the one that she needs to be freed from. Well, it's semi woke. It's not completely woke. It's semi woke, and so
I mean, Ned Flenderson's the bad guy.
That's because you share the same cosmological.
Flanders,
doggone it.
Flenderson.
My joke was. Why
don't you leave the joke into comedians?
Wasn't even good. Yeah.
But when you share the same cosmology as your enemy, then they've already worked. And the reason that we share this is because I was thinking about this, Pastor. Part of what great writers who we respect, they understood egalitarianism. We don't. Yeah. We actually have a very huge problem with hierarchy, even though we reject the extreme forms of egalitarianism. And so I was talking to Jason Farley about this, and he's like, people were all up in arms about Lord of the Rings. What was the new Lord of the Rings?
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. And they were like,
Rings of Flies.
They got the character wrong, and they didn't write the scripts right. And
hula hoops of power.
Right, yeah. And everybody was arguing over this, and he's like, no, even if they had gotten all that stuff right, it still would have been wrong because they didn't get the things that Tolkien loved. Right. He loves hierarchy and hated egalitarianism. Yeah. Egalitarianism is what he wanted to kill with the story. Right. And because nobody who's arguing over these characters is in love with hierarchy and those structures, they're egalitarian, arguing over the wrong things. Right. And so, of course, you're all going to get it wrong because you don't love the right things.
It's worse than we thought.
And so part of what we've come to do is to love to hate the things that are out there instead of loving the things that we need to love. And because of the love for those things.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, we love to hate rather than love to love. That's really good.
And so we're not making What a Wonderful World. We're not making those kind of stories.
Or It's a Wonderful Life.
You know what? Okay, so
we got back there. That was good.
Thank you. I was working on it.
But
you know what I did? I actually got Wonderful World and started watching part of it, and I was like, this is not the movie I was looking for. And I did it again. But it's a wonderful. So we're not making It's a Wonderful Life because we don't love those things.
Right. Mm-hmm. And we can't win. We can't win.
We can't win without it.
Without actually having something good and true and beautiful that we love.
Yes.
That's the thing. And the Lord's not going to give us any substantial victory until we do. You can't love the absence of evil.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You have to love the positive substance of good. And it turns out that good is a person.
That's right.
And his name is Jesus Christ.
That's amen.
Rightly ordered loves is the only way to beat communism. Do you understand?
Right. The last thing I was just going to say on this is there's other point about destroying communism wherever we see it. The second point, I think particularly in terms of, he says destroying the military-industrial complex of communism.
And the financial.
But I was going to say the financial things in particular is what we're running into now is we're in bed with communists, China, and so forth. And that's part of what we're running up against, why NBA players can't speak out against the abuses against the Uyghurs in China, or Wang, what's his name? I'm sorry.
Pastor Yang Wei?
Yeah, no, we messed it up.
Oh, my goodness.
Our apologies. Wang Yi, I think it is.
Wang Yi. Wow.
But the pastor is in prison.
Yeah.
For
any going on, isn't it like 3 years now? Or
yeah, it's 4 years. I think it's 4 years now.
Is it 4?
But we can't actually stand up against communism because they're funding all our stuff. Our friends at the Reformed Sage would like to introduce you and yours to Reformanda Studios. If you're looking for a better way to pass on the faith to your kids and help them memorize the catechisms, then look no further. Reformanda Studios is here with a fresh new way to catechize your children. A subscription with Reformanda Studios features animated videos that will be easy for your kids to follow along with, and a subscription includes free study guides that can be used for each video. See all Reformanda Studios animated content at reformandastudios.com.
Oh, sing a new
song unto the Lord, for he hath done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm hath gotten him the victory. This is Psalm 98, by the way, and this is our friend Brian Sauvé singing it. The Lord hath made known his salvation, his righteousness hath he openly showed in the sight of the heathen. He hath remembered his mercy and his truth toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all the earth. Make a loud noise and rejoice and sing praise. Sing unto the Lord with the harp and the voice of a psalm, with trumpets and the sound of cornet, with a joyful noise before the Lord, the King. Let the sea roar and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Let the floods clap their hands, let the hills be joyful together before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. With righteousness shall he judge the world, and the people with equity. Psalm 98 is a great Advent Christmas psalm, and this is a great version. We like to sing this in church. It's like one of those, what do you call it, a round sort of, there's different parts, and they come in and sing, and he's actually singing it to himself. He did like that, magic wizardry stuff, and
You know who?
recording studio.
Ray Charles was the one who made that popular.
Yeah, well, anyways, Brian Sauvé, Ray Charles, they're right there.
Yeah, same thing.
It's a great, it's a song of praise for the marvelous things that God has done to win a great victory. That's what Christmas is all about.
Hey.
It's reminiscent of the song that Miriam sang on the shore of the Red Sea after God delivered Israel from the Egyptians with his outstretched arm. And God did it in such a dramatic way in front of all the nations. This psalm also echoes Hannah's song when the Lord gave her conception, as well as Mary's song centuries later. God remembered his mercy and his truth toward the house of Israel. All ends of earth have seen the salvation of our God. And notice that these women sing these songs of militant victory when they've conceived a child. Of course, Mary was told explicitly who her son would be, but both women exercise great faith in believing that the gift of a child indicates God's great favor. God promised in the beginning that the seed of the woman would crush the head of the dragon, and the psalmist said that God has ordained strength in the mouths of infants to silence the enemy and the avenger. The gift of children received in faith is the gift of reinforcements and a swelling army.
That's right.
And when that happens, we should sing and shout with a joyful noise with horns and harps and trumpets. Whether we're talking about the Exodus or the gift of children, our hearts should magnify the Lord for the wonders he has done.
Amen.
But if we understand the salvation of God, we understand that it also includes all of creation. Creation was cursed in the fall with thorns and weeds, and the Bible says that it even groans under the curse, waiting for the redemption of the sons of God, waiting for new Adams and new Eves to return to their rightful places, caring for creation and ruling over it in righteousness. And so, the new Adam has returned to the garden at the Father's right hand. And by the Spirit, a new race is emerging in history to rule the world under the lordship of Christ. And this should make the hills and mountains and rivers and oceans join us in our praise. Because he has come and performed these wonderful deeds, he can be counted on to come again in judgment to deliver his people, both in history and finally at the very end, to put all things completely right. Because he came at Christmas, he will surely come again to save and to deliver his people. The exhortation today is for getting ready for Christmas. And I just want to point out that when God has done something great, his people can't be satisfied with merely thinking thankful thoughts in their heads. This psalm says that the kind of praise that erupts is loud, boisterous, and includes horns and harps and trumpets and clapping and mountains and rivers and oceans. And I think we can gather from this that the kind of joy that erupts from God's salvation includes everything, all of creation. And this is why Christians have historically wanted to make such a big deal about Christmas. Special songs and carols, trees in the living room, and lots of lights, and candy canes, and stockings, and gifts, and fudge, and eggnog, and cookies. Why? For wonders he has done. His salvation has come. He's won the victory. He's remembered his mercy and truth to the house of Israel. The idea is to praise him with everything, everywhere, with ribbons and bows and wrapping paper and songs and chocolate and lights that light up the night. Why? Because the light has come. Amen. Christ has come. And because he comes, he surely comes to judge the world in equity. So don't just celebrate Christmas because that's what we do at this time of year. Don't do it mindlessly, and certainly don't do it like a crank. Yeah. Do it like a Christian, and do it like a Christian who knows that we need that salvation to come and sweep across this dark land, our sorry nation. Celebrate Christmas with a militant joy and generosity. Show your children the salvation of God in your joy and generosity. Show the world that Christ has come and that he will surely come again.
Cheers to the king.
Cheers to the king.
Cheers.
You want to fight communism?
Yeah.
You want the favor of the Lord? Have some kids.
Yeah.
And
rejoice.
And rejoice. That's
Give
right.
them presents.
That's right. Amen, Toby.
So if you're single, get married. And if you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids,
fight
go
communism.
Baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politics.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, You will enjoy refining rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
It is the duty of the free man to resist tyranny at every turn. Every man will either watch his freedom stripped away or take action to protect what he loves. Introducing the A3, the newest revolutionary body armor from Armored Republic. The A3 is the new standard for lightweight multi-hit body armor. A3 plates are incredibly light at 4.6 pounds. The patented design captures fragmentation while remaining multi-hit capable. The A3 will stop up to M80 ball, yet comes in at only 0.7 inches thick. The A3 is the thinnest NIJ .06 compliant or certified composite standalone plate that includes the drop test. The A3 is the first of its kind, patent pending, that combines an alloy strike face with polyethylene backing, revolutionizing body armor technology by providing strength and durability while remaining sleek and maneuverable. The A3 is the new standard in lightweight body armor. The fight against tyranny just got stronger.